Good afternoon. On behalf of the Schmidt family, I want to thank you all for being here today and all along the way as we face the challenges of Jonathan's illness. The Schmidt family would also like to thank Superintendent DeFleeger and his staff for hosting this event at this beautiful and meaningful location. Finally, we want to thank Dr. Evans, Beth Eby, Dr. Lid, Dr. Einhorn, Dr. Keelan Kirian, Dr. Francis, Dr. Landau, and the extended oncology teams at University of Pennsylvania, Indiana University, and the University of Michigan for their excellence and compassion in caring for Jonathan. Today we will hear from Jonathan's friends, family, and colleagues. Through these shared memories, we will gain a glimpse of the extraordinary talents, experiences, and relationships that defined Jonathan's life. I speak today to pay tribute to the bonds I shared with Jonathan that are uniquely and eternally mine. Husband, soulmate, father of my son Thaddeus, and the love of my life. From our first date, I knew Jonathan was a rare and special person. I loved his beautiful brown eyes and immense smile. I deeply admired his intelligence, sincerity, passion, and compassion for others. But most of all, I love that despite his serious pursuits in life, Jonathan was just plain fun. And he was always laughing at my great jokes. In our 5 years together, Jonathan and I shared many grand adventures, earning graduate degrees from Yale, a fairy tale wedding in Minneapolis, traveling to Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Mexico, Hawaii, and all over the United States, meeting Vice President Joe Biden and Governor Rendell, buying our dream home, and, thanks to Cash for Clunkers, finally trading in Jonathan's 1995 Crown Victoria squad car for a brand new eco-friendly car. While I often marvel at our good fortune in sharing these privileged experiences, the foundation of our happiness was built on much simpler pleasures. Eating Thai takeout, curling up together to watch Lost and The Amazing Race, talking late into the night while Jonathan rubbed my head, and, of course, candy, Sour Patch Kids in particular. Before we were engaged, Jonathan used to tell me that he had a 5-year plan, teasing me that our engagement would be the culmination of this 5-year plan. This joke became increasingly less amusing to me as the months wore on. But at last, on an impromptu trip to the Delaware shore, Jonathan asked me to marry him and made me the happiest woman on earth. As we drove back to Philadelphia, both beaming with excitement of our futures, we discussed Jonathan's 5-year plan, at last. A time period in which he hoped to launch a family, a career in public service, and what he described as a political movement, all the while maintaining and deepening his relationships with friends and family. Indeed, cancer was not part of this 5-year plan. So when Jonathan, who had spent much of his life preparing to do great things, found out that he had terminal cancer, he was acutely unprepared. Jonathan was alone that day when he received the very unexpected call that his CT scan showed cancerous growths in several areas of his body. In an act of love and selflessness that still stuns me to this day, he decided not to tell me until the next day. Because, as he later wrote in his journal, I wanted to give Andrea one more night free of this life-changing news. That night she was smiling, enjoying herself, with such wonderful energy. It was lovely, and I feared I was seeing her for the last time as I most enjoyed her. I think it was a surprise to both of us that while cancer did change our lives profoundly, our happiness did not, in fact, end with his diagnosis. Our love for each other only intensified. Our appreciation for our family and friends only deepened, and we tended to find more joy, not less, in adventures big and small. This was especially true for our pregnancy, which was one of the happiest times both of us have ever known. Jonathan's courage and love gave me strength, and together we resolved that we would continue to live the life he had laid out in his 5-year plan. With the help and flexibility of his law firm, Ballard Spahr, he was able to continue working as an attorney. With the help of his mentors and mentees at the First Suburbs Project, he was able to push forth his political agenda. And with the help of his wonderful family and friends, he was able to continue to celebrate life, and even win a little poker money here and there. And with my help, we were able to achieve his most treasured dream, to become a father. Jonathan battled the disease heroically. Despite the pain, unsuccessful and often uncomfortable treatments, and continuous uncertainty in our lives, Jonathan was brave and eternally optimistic, happily sharing that one is considered a cancer survivor from the date of diagnosis, which meant that even on day 1, he was already a survivor. He insisted he would beat the odds. He declared that he would crush this cancer. While the ultimate outcome of this battle was a disappointment, there is triumph in knowing that Jonathan was right. He did in fact beat the odds, transcending the expectations for survival set by doctors, medical statistics, and even his most optimistic friends. And by that measure, he did, as he promised, crush this cancer. Dearest Jonathan, thank you for never giving up. Thank you for loving me and inspiring me. Thank you for the lovely life we shared, and for the wonderful family and friends you brought into my life. Thank you most of all for beautiful Thaddeus, our gift of God. You are my favorite, Schmidt.
And now Yuri Iwaoka-Scott will come forward to read from Jonathan's journal and Pablo Neruda.
I met Jonathan in the first few days of our freshman year at Yale, and we became fast friends. One of the things that I loved most about Jonathan was his reflectiveness. He applied the same intense curiosity, analytical mind, and compassionate heart that we saw in all aspects of his life to himself. He was committed to his own intellectual, interpersonal, emotional, and spiritual growth, and he inspired growth in those around him. And so I'm honored to read this poem that Jonathan copied into his journal in 2007, the year that he and Andrea were married. Jonathan had great love for his fellow human beings, his friends, his family, and especially for Andrea. We loved him too. Love Sonnet 89 by Pablo Neruda. When I die, I want your hands on my eyes. I want the light and the wheat of your beloved hands to pass their freshness over me once more. I want to feel the softness that changed my destiny. I want you to live while I wait for you, asleep. I want your ears still to hear the wind. I want you to sniff the sea's aroma that we loved together, to continue to walk on the sand we walk on. I want what I love to continue to live, and you, whom I love and sang above everything else, to continue to flourish, full-flowered, so that you can reach everything my love directs you to, so that my shadow can travel along in your hair, so that everything can learn the reason for my song.